Across the last few weeks, we've heard from James that we should be doers of the word and not simply hearers, and that faith without works is dead. The emphasis has been on disciplined action instead of just talking a good game, which I think seems to be a running theme. Y'all are real good at talking about Jesus and the gospel, James seems to be saying. But it doesn't count for much if you don't live it out in your actions. And so we come to today's passage in which he strongly denounces speech, or at least immature speech, which is also an allusion to false teaching. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who teach will face stricter judgment. Gotta love that one. The tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great exploits. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. And the tongue is a fire. The tongue is placed among our members as a world of iniquity. It stains the whole body, sets on fire the cycle of life, and is itself set on fire by hell. Strong words. With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we curse people made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth comes a blessing and a curse. My brothers and sisters, this ought not to be so. I can just sit down now, right? Speech, the spoken word, is powerful. And so I concur with James that not many should be teachers, and certainly not preachers. But that doesn't mean we should abandon preaching altogether. Quite the opposite. We should take our preaching and teaching quite seriously. So here's the question. Which preacher do you listen to the most? Now, I know some of you are thinking, you, Pastor Wren. And some of you are also probably thinking Louis Giglio or Billy Graham or some TV preacher, hopefully not Joel Osteen. But I would contend that the actual answer is you. You are the preacher you listen to the most. You listen to every word you speak every day, to every person, in every place, every time. You utter the most words that you will ever hear. And I may get you for an hour a week, for 10 or 15 minutes to preach to you, but you preach to yourself all week long. And do you think that you are not impacted by the words you let loose in the world? That it's just the other people, the ones who you are addressing, who are affected by your speech? It's the same thing with people, right? It's the same thing with language. We become what we surround ourselves with. Every conversation, every word that comes from our mouths goes right back into our ears and leaves a mark. So shouldn't we aspire to surround ourselves with transformative speech? The words that are in the wallpaper. Words that might leave a more holy impression, not just on other people, but on ourselves. Speak life. Always speak life. Your own heart, mind, and spirit are on the line. Now, one of our motifs throughout the past few weeks has been the role and importance of visioning, having a vision of where we want to go and who we want to be. And it's a timely question to be asking as we barrel towards church conference season. It's been scheduled for November 9th, by the way. And you may have already received an email from me or a committee chair about scheduling meetings in advance to do the work of the church. And it's during this season that we review the work of the prior year and set expectations and goals and vision for the coming months. But I hate meetings. Yeah, me too. But we'll try to keep them short and effective. And hopefully they'll be filled with positivity and congenial timbre. But it's critical to gather together with intentionality, to make important decisions, and to write them down on paper. Better yet, to compose them in such a way that our objectives are memorable and easily repeatable. Why? So we can speak them into existence over and over again throughout the coming year. So we can put our tongues to good and proper action, letting our words guide us into faithful action. Without them, we become like a ship without a rudder, blown wherever the storms carry us, unable to stay the course toward our destination. Here's an example. For several years, I lived in Princeton, New Jersey. And while there, I attended the Methodist church in the next town over. It was a teaching congregation, which is a designation we give to churches, often nearby a university or a seminary, that is intentionally engaged in raising up and training future clergy. And in the process of acquiring that designation, which is the time I was there, the congregation went through a quite intense visioning process. They created a mission statement, and they wound up condensing it down into a hyper-compact format. Here's their mission statement. I checked, it's still what they use today. Feed more sheep. That's it. Feed more sheep. That was the mission statement. And we put it everywhere. It was on the bulletins, the website, banners, and all the pew literature. Some of our more bold members actually started a mission nonprofit food truck that they appropriately named the Feed Truck. Annually, we gave out large Shaun the Sheep stuffed animals as awards to recognize those who had lived into our vision in extraordinary ways. Every day, in every way, we were asking ourselves, have I fed more sheep today? Are we feeding more sheep with this program or this event or this service? How can we feed more sheep tomorrow, next week, next month? Feed more sheep. And in surrounding ourselves with those words and inviting other like-minded individuals to join in our mission, what do you think happened? We fed more sheep. It's almost like when we speak these things, it helps us make them real. Hear again what James says. If we put bits in the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we guide their whole bodies. Or look at ships. Though they are so large and are driven by strong winds, yet they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, a small body part, yet it boasts of great exploits. The tongue, our words, have power, extraordinary power. And I know it can be tempting, especially in hard times, to sip from the cup of resentment and disappointment and bitterness. But when we give into that negativity, when we let the anger and the frustration slip out in our language, in our speech, in our words among each other, then we're already halfway to creating the environment and the future we're trying to avoid. And quite the opposite, when we choose to speak life-giving words, to always bless God, give gratitude and be thankful, choose joy in every situation, even the hard times, especially the hard times, then we're already halfway to creating the church we want to live into. And isn't this the very essence of faith? to speak and live as those who believe, even when such belief seems irrational, maybe even irresponsible, risky. And yet, if we do not believe, speak, and act, the kingdom in which we place our faith can't come to be. So let us be speakers and doers of the word, who surround ourselves with life-giving speech, so that we can put our faith into action every day for the coming of the kingdom and the glory of God.